sensitive word, but justice, viewers, tells you that you're pursuing a higher cause. That's what we are, a righteous higher cause. We are seeking justice from Pakistan, and the countdown has begun. And today I can tell you with a degree of certitude that war and its attendant consequences for Pakistan are closing in on us. Pakistan doesn't know what is going to hit it. India so far has been coiling itself around Pakistan like a boa constrictor, like a reticulated python, like an anaconda. It is crushing it economically, it is squeezing it materially, it is suffocating it diplomatically, and it is crushing it psychologically. The Pakistani establishment's biggest leaders are scared. They're very scared, viewers. They're shaken and behaving erratically. Some are threatening nuclear war. Others are talking themselves deliriously into thinking they are gods, invincible. Viewers, the Indian establishment, on the contrary, is thinking rationally. It is thinking of the ends and the right means that are going to get it to the ends. The Pakistani are already thinking of the ends. They are thinking, viewers, like Hitler. They are thinking like Mussolini. They are thinking like Napoleon, who at one time or the other thought that they had the greatest right to invincibility. All these Caesars fell, viewers, all of them, one by one, because they harbored illusions of grandeur. But people, viewers, in Pakistan are not buying it. I'll give you an example. The chief cleric of the Islamabad Red Mosque, which is an iconic mosque, today, for instance, asked his followers whether they will support the Pakistani army during war against India. He said, अगर जंग होगा, क्या आप अपनी आर्मी के साथ खड़े होके लड़ेंगे? And he asked the congregation there, hundreds and hundreds of Muslims who had congregated in the Lal Masjid, to raise their hands. But no one did. Not one did. Sample this, viewers. This is a small excerpt of a video clip which was much longer. Listen to this.
अगर पाकिस्तान हिंदुस्तान की जंग में आप में से कितने लोग पाकिस्तान का साथ देंगे? हाथ खड़ा करें। कम ही नजर आ रहे हैं। इसका मतलब है कि काफी समझ पैदा हो चुकी है। मसला यह है कि पाकिस्तान और हिंदुस्तान की जंग इस्लाम की जंग ही नहीं है। पाकिस्तान की जंग कौमियत की जंग है। आज पाकिस्तान में
There you go, viewers. He realized that the mood is against war in Pakistan. So he says this is not a fight between India and Pakistan on a religious basis. This is about two states. And we are under no obligation to support the delusions of our leaders. If you listen to this entire speech, viewers, it's quite clear that the mood in Pakistan is that we are, at least amongst the civilians, because they are rational. They know the consequences. They know the bluster of their leaders is leading them down the garden path. And they know, viewers, that at the end of that garden path lies Armageddon, hell. And they don't want to go there. They all know that the words from across the border, however, are not empty rhetoric. They are not the words that are coming from India that are like their leadership, viewers, talking themselves into a frenzy. No. Indian leaders, whether it's the Prime Minister, whether it's the Defense Minister or the Home Minister, have been very, very measured in contrast to the Pakistani leadership. And they're all talking about justice. And they're talking about how to deliver justice to us, the people. But none of them are saying it's going to happen tomorrow, it's going to happen now. Because, viewers, we can't talk ourselves into an illusion. We can't talk ourselves into a war when we are not ready. But listen in to the Prime Minister, to the Defense Minister, to the Union Home Minister. Listen.
जिन्होंने ये हमला किया है, उन आतंकियों को और इस हमले की साजिश रचने वालों को उनकी कल्पना से भी बड़ी सजा मिलेगी। इंडिया विल आइडेंटिफाई, ट्रैक and punish every terrorist and their backer.
मैं सभी आतंक फैलाने वालों को कहना चाहता हूं कि लड़ाई का अंत नहीं है, एक मकाम है। हर व्यक्ति को चुन चुन कर जवाब भी मिलेगा, जवाब भी लिया जाएगा।
हमारे प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को अच्छी तरह जानते हैं, उनकी कार्यशैली से भी अच्छी तरह परिचित हैं, उनकी दृढ़ता से भी अच्छी तरह परिचित। मैं आपको आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं कि प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में जैसा आप चाहते हैं वैसा होकर रहे।
Unlike the Pakistani leadership, viewers, that is directly making imputations against the Indian state, neither the Prime Minister nor the Home Minister nor the Defence Minister have talked about the Pakistani state. They are talking about actors from Pakistan, agents of terror from Pakistan that need to be brought to justice. And this is the fundamental difference between us and them. We are a law-abiding civilizational state. They're an upstart country, viewers, born in reaction to an idea, a grand idea. The stage now is set for action, though. The NDA seems to be listening to the people of this country intently, as Rajnath Singh and ominously intoned. And for the first time today, the sense of how seriously New Delhi is taking the prospect of kinetic action has dawned upon us all. Highly placed sources in the government of India have let it be known that they are now cranking up the domestic defense machinery to insulate all of us from a blowback, a potential blowback. Remember, if we strike Pakistan, whenever we strike Pakistan, and there's no hurry to do so, viewers, and I must quietly and very quickly tell you that even strategic silence is in action. So we have to be careful. We don't want to rush in like we did during the IPKF operation, viewers, and then regret at leisure. We have to go in slowly. We have to go when it is best for us. We have to go in when the python that is India has weakened the stuffings out of the Pakistani state, so it has become almost immobile, and then we hit, and that could be months from now. But a strike will come. And there will also be a counter strike. We have to be prepared mentally. On May 7th, the first step to preparing us is going to be taken. There's going to be a drill which will be taking place in first the border states, the states that are bordering Pakistan. Some of our friends and children will be part of these drills. What are they? Let me tell you. First, operationalization of air raid warning sirens. The last time we heard them, viewers, or an order like this was passed was in, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in 1971. The training of civilian students, etc., on the civil defense aspects to protect themselves in the event of a hostile attack. Provision of crash blackout measures. In case something happens and there's no electricity, how to react. Provisions for early camouflaging of vital plants and installations. The updation of evacuation plan and its rehearsal. It's very crucial, viewers. This drill will be taking place in Jammu and Kashmir, in Punjab, in Gujarat, in Rajasthan, the border states. This indicates, viewers, that a kinetic response is imminent. When and where, as I've told you, is not known. But it's as if India hasn't already struck. Like a python that slowly constricts, India has begun choking off Pakistan's lifeline through non-kinetic actions that are silently deadly. The Indus Water Treaty isn't just in abeyance in letter, but also in spirit. The Modi administration has begun parching Pakistan. And I'm going to show you pictures which are going to come up on your screens. The action is visible. The sluice gates of the Baglihar Dam have been closed. Water to Pakistan has been reduced to a trickle. At one time, viewers, that's how the water would come out of the dam sluice gates. Today, viewers, you can see on your right, the Chenab riverbed is so dry that people are now walking across it. Water that used to come cascading down, almost brimming over, is now reduced to a neher. These are all unprecedented scenes, viewers. But the lack of water will hit Pakistan's cotton cultivation. crippling its manpower. Heavy textile industry. Non-functioning looms means job losses, revenue losses. Pakistan can't afford it. It will get spun around into civil turmoil, viewers. You can see the difference. The Chenab then, the Chenab now. Now, viewers, I'm going to show you a graphic. This graphic shows you how India's decision to close off its own airspace to Pakistan's planes has begun to hurt Islamabad. You can see Pakistan. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flights over Pakistan. That's it. 5 planes. This is from 8 o'clock. It's been taken from Flight Radar 24, which is an aerial tracking service. Just a few hours ago, Flight Radar 24 flight tracking website reveals that there are barely 5 flights in Pakistan airspace. Even non-Indian carriers like international airlines, Air France, British Airways, Emirates, Lufthansa are all avoiding Pak airspace. This decision to fly around Pakistan by even international airlines severely dents Islamabad's forex earnings from overflight fees. Forex loss for debt-saddled Pakistan is a big hit. India winning this battle of skies hands down. But viewers, whether it's the air, whether it's the water, and I can tell you just a little while back we've even tested a kind of mine in the water. DRDO has just made that announcement. Thrilling visuals, viewers, of India's growing potency, not just in the land, not just in the air, but also in the water, also in the sea. Now I want to open this up, viewers, because we must have a rational conversation tonight. And we have with us the experts, the foremost experts, 3 of them, who understand war, who have served in the front lines, who are legendary, who have taken bullets for this country, who have fired bullets for this country. And I want to first begin with General Bakshi and also General Dhillon. General Bakshi, I know that there is a whole corpus of people in this country, an ecosystem, that wants to rush us in. I know that some of them who are standing in support of the government saying, come on, do it, are actually not the well-wishers of this government. And we have to be careful about that tonight, don't we? Because we don't want people, General Bakshi, to force us into something we are not prepared for just because they want to look good and they want to make this dispensation look bad. They want to make our army look bad. I'll come to that. I'll come to those turncoats, but I want your opinion on this. This is unprecedented, I think, and please correct me, sir, you have all the experience, the knowledge. 1971 was the last time such an order was issued, where sirens, drills, etc. were to be conducted, if I'm not mistaken. Where are we going with this? What is the signal coming out now?
Rahul, the signal that is coming out is grim for Pakistan. Rahul, in 71, the Indira Gandhi had ordered Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw to go in March 1971. He said, Madam, you order me, I'll go in now, but I do not guarantee you 100% success. Let me go in November, December, I guarantee you 100% success. And that's what he gave, that's what he delivered. 13 days, Pakistan cut into 2, 93,000 prisoners of war, largest mass surrender after the Second World War. Rahul, war is a very grim and serious business.
Yes.
There are widows, there are deaths, there is dying. You do not rush into war. You never rush into a war. Only fools rush in where angels fear to tread. You go slowly with a prayer in your heart, because we know what is coming. And we soldiers know best. Tiny and I know best what war means, right? We do not go to it light-hearted manner. We don't rush in like fools. We rushed into the IPKF and we paid, a price initially.
Yes.
Right? The Indian strategic culture is to prepare slowly, to prepare methodically, to war game thoroughly, and then hit hard and fast. Execution has to be fast. Preparation must be slow. Must be slow. You don't rush into war, especially seasoned soldiers don't rush into war. They go there with a prayer in their heart. The Indian concept of Dharma Yuddha, means you must exhaust all options. We have exhausted all options, Rahul. We have exhausted all options, and Shri Krishna even had gone to Duryodhan and said, just give me 5 villages and it should be over. When he said not as much land as will fit in on the head of a needle, then he said there will be war. There will be. There was. And there was. There will be war, and there was. We will go into war with a prayer upon our hearts, because there will be widows, there will be orphans on both sides, but we will not flinch from doing our duty. We have suffered enough. We have seen enough of our daughters crying. We have seen enough of our daughters wailing over the bodies of their dead husband. It cannot be treated as business as usual. And if Mullah Asim Munir wants an extension, he will regret it. This is an extension he will regret. He must remember what happened to Yahya Khan, right? He must remember what happened to Yahya Khan. We didn't rush into war then. We won't rush into war now. But when we do, I think it will be for keeps.
It will be for keeps. It will be for keeps. Well, those words, viewers, will give you goose flesh. But look, as I said, we are not here. This is a serious debate, viewers. This is not one of those channels where we call people from Pakistan and have slanging matches and shout and abuse. No. We take this very seriously. As General Bakshi says, there are consequences. Every time you fire a bullet, there are consequences. We are not a bloodthirsty army. We're not barbarians, viewers. And I have to commend the Prime Minister and the government, because we all need to. It's all our government, viewers. Every citizen, whether you voted or not. Today, we're in that stage where we have to start trusting the executive completely. We require from ourselves, and I will put that to our civilian friends here in just a few moments. But General Dhillon, this is now a moment where we have to choose our destiny. It's quite clear, General Dhillon. And I believe that there are a whole group of people who are trying to rush us in. But assess for me the steps that have already been taken. Why have these steps been taken? Most of them are non-kinetic, but they're having the impact, silently, of kinetic actions. So break that down. What is the logic behind all of this? And then, of course, we will talk a little bit about the timing, when we should actually get into taking consequential kinetic action. General Dhillon.
Thank you, Rahul, and good evening to you. Good evening to my fellow panelists and your viewers. I totally agree with General Bakshi, because no seasoned soldier would rush into a war knowing fully well, as a commander or as a leader, there is a responsibility on our shoulders. Not only of the men we command, not only of the families of the men we command, but also of the 140 crore citizens of this country. We have a responsibility on our shoulders of the reputation of this nation. We are talking about IPKF, we are talking about 1971. 50 years from today, people will talk about 2025. And then the history will be judged as to who took the right decision and who took a hasty decision. So war is a very serious business. It has to be gone in very, very seriously. Now, having said this, coming to your question proper. Before this, in 2016 after Uri and 2019 after Pulwama, I was a corps commander in Kashmir when Balakot happened. Those were purely military options and a single service option. When I say single service, in surgical strikes, in 2016 only Army went in. 2019 only Air Force went in. There are single service options, standalone options. But this time, now that nation feels, our leadership feels enough is enough, and the terror factory must be hit now. And the terror factory is not a few odd terrorists here or some launch pad there or some training center of the terrorists here. Terror factory is the Pakistan military complex, Pakistan ISI, who is equipping, training, assisting, infiltrating, and then coordinating and executing operations like Pahalgam. So this time it's different. Secondly, this time it's not only a kinetic option which the government is taking, this time it is a whole of nation approach. When it is a whole of nation approach, all powers or all arms of the government, may it be military, diplomatic, political, economic, or some which we don't discuss on the table, all those would be applied against this enemy. Comprehensive national power. We have seen some diplomatic initiatives. Indus Water Treaty has already started showing results. In the long term, when we build infrastructure and capabilities within the nation of storage and diversion of water, it will hit hard. And if we do it right, 50 years from today, Pakistani Punjab will be desert. So, having said all this and all these drills, the citizen or the defensive drills for the citizens against any action. Those drills, as a young student in Amritsar in 1971 war, and later on as a student in Firozpur, and with villages being on the border, just about a kilometer from the international border, I have personally gone through all these drills. And everyone, like my class fellows group of Firozpur, yesterday they had a drill in Firozpur, and today whole day they're discussing, and everyone was saying, we have done it, and we are so happy it's being done again. There's no panic. And there is a system in place, civil defense system is in place. Wherever they are not in place, it will be put in place. NCC is in place and functional. All the schools, all the students would be given lessons on civil defense, on blackouts, on how to save themselves when there is an enemy air defense alarm or air raid alarm. Students are the best messengers, will go home and tell at least 5 or 6 of their family members how to deal with it when there is an air raid siren. In countries like Israel, it's a very common thing, but in India, it is happening probably after 1971. I would just like to tell the citizens, those who have seen it or those who have not seen it, there is nothing to panic. These are normal defensive drills to protect the lives and properties of the civilians in the border areas. Civilians in those areas have done it in the past, at least the elders know about it, and they have told their youngsters, nothing to panic, it's one of those things, and good thing we are doing it before the war has started. And I just want to finish my interjection of the first one here with just a word that nothing to panic in this, please don't start panicking why this is happening. These are routine things in a country like Israel. 5 times in a day, air raid silence goes in. When you may be having a lunch or dinner in a restaurant, they go in, and the bunkers where citizens just move in. Thank you.
Yeah, I will definitely come to the civilian aspect of it, but Major Jolly, I want to bring you in. Manik Jolly joining us. Silence is also strategic, Major Jolly. And what I notice from our response, which so differs from the one across the border. Across the border, you have Pakistani politicians and some military men who are talking about launching weapon systems like nuclear, tactical, nuclear missiles, this, that, the other. They've completely lost it. But on our side, there seems to be, at least from the military establishment and even the political establishment, the ruling establishment, a kind of silence. And this silence is effective, isn't it? Some of the steps that we have taken, which is a part of the question that I also wanted to get an opinion from General Dhillon about, I'm bringing to you. These steps that we have taken, these non-kinetic steps, what are they doing to Pakistan actually?
Yeah, thank you, Rahul, and hello to everyone. What I'll say, I have a little different take on this. We are discussing why we have not started, when will the war start, why is the deal? We are in the war. Okay. The war started the day IWT was suspended. This is siege warfare. This is how it happens. The government or PM Modi has taken the tactics of few hundred years back, the backbone of empires, siege warfare, Roman, Persian, Indian, Maratha, Sikh, any empire, siege warfare. First you used to cut the water, then you used to cut the economy, then you used to cut the food, then you used to starve them out, then you used to bankrupt them, and then you used to wait that they come on their knees, and a tiny lot of them used to come out either begging or make a last stand, and you squash them in a very little effort, and then, yes, they used to last for months and years, but this was the most effective way to take over any territory or a port. It's a pure one-on-one siege warfare. People are just not, maybe getting it. I'll just give you something I gave to a Pakistani journalist today, that India is going for siege warfare tactics this time. We won't charge your fort blindly. We will dry you out, famine you out, bankrupt you, ensure your bowmen standing on the parapets are exhausted, have no intention of fighting. And then we will wait for your kings and noblemen to lead a tiny charge that will be squashed, or they will be simply surrendering. So I'll tell you what, the first step, that the non-kinetic way, the suspension of IWT, it's not that, again, a lot of, discussion happen on, we don't have the capability of stopping the river. Yes, we don't. But you don't need to stop the river. We need to maintain a certain percentage of flow and the timing, and that is all we need to do. What that is going to do is disrupt the crop cycles, is ruin their crops and ruin their normal day-to-day life. If as a normal person living in an urban lifestyle and he does not know when the water is coming, and what it will lead to, there will be a lot of restlessness. There will be a lot of chaos within the society. People will start coming on road. As it is, they don't have the cohesion of army and government in the country. Normal people hate both of them because they know both are corrupt, both are exploitative. So now we are waiting for them to actually blame this war on them, rightfully so, that you guys started this terrorism. You guys are sponsoring these attacks, and because of you, we are suffering.
So you're saying you create the conditions for a revolt and an insurrection in Pakistan. You create internal tensions, fissures, fault lines, and then...
So let's say, if I was to say revolt is still a positive word.
Right.
I say we create tension. We exploit the fault lines.
Right.
Let's be very blunt about it.
Okay.
And then we let them starve and fight among themselves. That will be the opportunity, best time to attack actually, and we wait for that.
General Bakshi is raising his hand. General Bakshi, yes.
Rahul, I'd like to point out that this time our ideal should be again to repeat a Bangladesh, right? Redo that kind of a slow preparation, fast execution, a blitzkrieg in execution. 15 days should be enough to collapse Pakistan economically. I keep saying...
No, but how are you saying that Bangladesh was a slow preparation, General Saab? How was Bangladesh a slow preparation? Can you explain that?
8 months. The order to go was given in March 1971. We went in December 1971. 8 months of preparation, right? Questions were asked, you are a professional armed forces, why are you taking so much time? But I think Sam's advice stood the test of time. He was proved absolutely correct. So what we are saying is, we may not just create conditions and wait for Pakistan to collapse. We will have to nudge it into that economic black hole. Go look at military history. How have you dealt with a nuclear weapon state? Has a nuclear weapon state ever gone down? Yes, there has. Rahul,
US.
1990, the Soviet Union collapsed economically.
Yes.
It was made to collapse. A strategy was followed to make it collapse. And it was flushed down the tube of history and splintered into 15 countries. The greatest nuclear power in the world. Pakistan is small fry. There is something called national stamina, Rahul. And that stamina has been tested for Russia and Ukraine in that prolonged 3.5-year long war, right? We shouldn't aim for a 3.5 years long war. We should aim for a 15 to 20 days war, because Pakistan had war wastage reserves, hold your breath Rahul, of 7 to 10 days, out of which they sold $342 million worth of artillery ammunition, medium artillery ammunition to Ukraine under American pressure, right? Aviation turbine fuel, they have 5 days reserve. The greatest mismatch in our relative strengths is in the Navy, on the naval flank. You just impose a limited blockade for, aviation turbine fuel, weapons, ammunition. and that is the end of the Pakistan army. They were saved by the skin of their teeth in 1965. Their ammunition reserves had been exhausted. Unfortunately, there was some goof up in our side when we thought we were also nearing the end of our reserves. When we found there were plenty more in the rear ordnance depots, right? Had we pressed the war a few days more, that would have been the end of Pakistan then in 1965 itself. They have serious problems, and one outcome of this war, I can guarantee you, Rahul, whatever be the military outcome, one outcome that is certain is the collapse of the Pakistan economy that is teetering on the brink.
Okay.
Give it that push, give it that nudge and drive it over the cliff.
Okay.
Right? Drive it over the cliff. Once this state shatters economically, it won't splinter into 15. It will splinter into 5 along the 5 fault lines.
Well, look, viewers, as Major Jolly is saying, this is siege warfare also. So we're going to have to string them out, really. Now, viewers, there is also a role that civil society plays, and it's very important that we talk about that. We also have a duty in times such as these. We have to be restrained. We have to be also trusting. We also have to have belief. Now, Dr. Ranganathan, these are important because we've seen other countries losing because their people lost hope and resolve. Not the establishment, the people. So we have a duty. I think you're on mute. Yeah. You're still on mute.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
My apologies. Good evening to you and to my fellow panelists, 3 of whom are absolute legends and our heroes. And as the adage goes, to listen but to lead, they are the ones who are going to lead us, and we're going to follow them. So whatever they say, whatever I say, I speak as a layman. Just a brief couple of points to make, because it's been a fantastic, invigorating discussion and all the 3 luminaries have spoken. You mentioned something interesting the other day, Rahul, when you said the Prime Minister has what you described as a Churchillian streak. You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
And that was very interesting. So just to use a Churchillian phrase, I think we've crossed a Rubicon as far as our dealing with Pakistan is concerned. Honestly, I think we have. We waited too long for it. But I think, as the Churchillian phrase goes, this is not the beginning of the end, but perhaps this is the end of the beginning. I think we've really had enough, and I think General Bakshi said it in, if not in so many words, he actually meant it, that enough is enough. And of course, going to war, going to battle is always one of the toughest decisions any nation has to make. Our hands have been forced for too long. The fact of the matter is that, as General Dillon also misses no opportunity to taunt the Pakistanis about the 93,000 prisoner of war that we kind of, for want of a better word, gave them away. The fact of the matter is, a lesson not given is a lesson not learned. And I think we've had too much practice in learning the lessons. As far as the civilian part is concerned, so let me assure, at least, I speak, I suppose, for every civilian, that we just have to be not requested but ordered, and we will follow. So that is how I think the civilians are going to treat our armed forces and our leaders in times of war. And secondly, I just hope and pray that everyone acts like that, because the fact of the matter is, what we're seeing over the last 10 days and what we saw during COVID as well, that many civilians, political parties have become so vitiated and divided that any action on behalf of the government or the armed forces is treated with disdain or mocked. You remember when internationally the doctors who were at the front line of COVID were being supported by the civilians by banging utensils. When in India it was suggested by the Prime Minister that we do so, everyone mocked. Even still they mock. This was basically to support the doctors who were at the front line. Similarly, now we are seeing leaders, and I don't want to make this political because it is too demeaning, embarrassing as well. Putting those Nimbu Mirchis and mocking the Rafales and things of that sort.
we'll
right,
come to
yes.
that.
So,
we're not going
yes,
to
so
we're not going to skip over that, because that's a very important.
Thank you.
You need to also settle the elements within. If you have to project power abroad or externally, you have to ensure that you prepared the ground internally. So that I'll come to. Yes.
Yes.
But I think go ahead.
I just wanted to end with saying that we are ready to be led, and it's absolutely magnificent. Our armed forces and the leaders there, including our front line, which I hope belongs to the opposition as well as the ruling government. They will all stand together, because this is something that has to be accomplished. And we might not reach the end. I'm not too sure. I speak as a layman, because there is no way Pakistan can win a conventional war against us. Absolutely no way.
Yeah.
And I alluded to this a week ago. My problem is that Pakistan, knowing that it cannot win a conventional war, might drop a nuclear weapon in a non-populated area, a desert or something like that. So that is a civilian's worry. But I think our armed forces obviously would have thought of that, and we have an antidote to that as well. So, as I say, we are just waiting to be led.
Well, I have to say, and I have to bring in now the political establishment by the way of Pradeep Bhandari, who represents the BJP, the ruling party in government. Look, and this is something that needs to be asked very firmly, Pradeep Bhandari. I'm very happy that our government hasn't spoken the language of revenge, spoken the language of justice. Now, have we created the resolve? Have we taken the others along on this journey? And how do you intend to do it? Because I don't see the other side right now wanting to align itself with this goal. And General Dhillon, I'm just coming out to you after Pradeep's response. I need a response on something else. Yes.
Well, Rahul, first of all, it's delighted to be with the heroes of India, three veterans out here who've represented this country and who are because of whom we as citizens are here safe. And this is not about the government and the opposition. This is about we as 140 crore Indians being with our forces in this time when the forces will give a befitting reply to the Pakistan terror deep state. You spoke about resolve. The resolve, I would like to quote Chanakya, Arthashastra, Book 7, Chapter 16, and I will translate these Sanskrit words for you in English. If an enemy is neglected, he declines temporarily, but later gathers strength and grows. Therefore, he must be completely destroyed, just like Indra destroyed the Asurs. This is what our approach is towards the Pakistani terror deep state, and this is how this government, if you look and study the actions post Pahalgam terror attack, has been holistic. It has been choking Pakistan diplomatically, economically, also domestically, because very important point here is domestically, Rahul, because the video which you showed, it is now clear, because this has not happened in the past. If you study very minutely, that this time even the people in Pakistan have lost faith in their army, in their establishment to protect them. There are already fissures towards Balochistan and various other factors. This has not happened in the past. So even domestically, Pakistan is being choked. They are already lost more than $1 billion. And all of this has happened before a kinetic response. Lot of individuals who are not well-wishers of this country, which you rightly pointed out in lead, wanted the Indian establishment to react. We have not reacted till now, Rahul. We are preparing to act. And when you are preparing to act, victory is certain.
Victory is certain. But you also need, viewers, support. You can't have fifth columnists. And I'll come to that in just a few moments.
I will respond to that, Rahul.
But 1 second, I'll come to that. I'll just come to that. I just want to bring in General Dhillon. General Dhillon, you have to prepare the ground at home. Now, we have a situation right now. It's been about 13 days since Pahalgam, and we haven't been able to cauterize that wound by catching those people, the perpetrators. So, how much of this internal factor remains unresolved, and why is it proving to be so difficult, sir, to catch these people? What's happening?
Rahul, since I was there when Pulwama happened, and as everyone knows, within 100 hours, we had neutralized that module or killed those terrorists who had carried out Pulwama.
Yeah.
So everyone who speaks to me compares Pulwama reaction to Pahalgam reaction of the security forces. And I'll very humbly say, we could do it in Pulwama because Pulwama was on the valley floor. there were open fields, there were built up areas, the movement was seen, and every time they communicated, it was intercepted. Now, Pahalgam Baul, and my fellow panelists would agree with me, is surrounded from all sides with very thick pine forest, and which has got primary, secondary, and tertiary forest. When I say tertiary, it means the undergrowth is 6 to 8 feet high. You can't see more than 2 feet at 2 meters at places. And second most important point, which most of us don't consider, is this area, which is of more than thousands or hundreds of square kilometers, has not seen a terror act in the last many years. When there is no terrorist movement, when there is no terrorist action in a particular area, the human intelligence dries out. If there is no terrorist movement, what intelligence a human will give? So after some time, the security forces, they lose that human intelligence network. Very few smart ones only continue to keep paying their sources even when there is no information coming.
Right.
But unfortunately, that doesn't happen with every security person. It's very difficult to keep paying a source when he has not given you information for last 6 years.
Okay.
So that is the second aspect. And third aspect is, these areas, since there is no terrorist action or terrorist infiltration or terrorist movement, the security forces' knowledge of that area inside the jungle is also limited. Whereas in valley floor, we have information every day of every mahalla, of every village. The security forces can move without a map.
Right.
Because they know that terrain like a back of their hand, and they have been operating there for last so many years.
I see.
They know each mahalla, they know each man's house and who is the house owner. Here, all those things are missing. So we have to grant it to the security forces. They're working under very difficult terrain, very difficult areas. And it's not easy. The communication in jungles is not easy. Even the best of the communication means.
All the time they need. We need to give them
But
all the time.
Notwithstanding that, 13 days is a long period for not being able to contact the terrorists who have carried out this. At least some telltale marks. Maybe these things are not coming in the open media. Maybe some contacts which were not successful, or maybe some hot pursuit here and there, contacted and missed.
Okay.
So I'm not sure whether all these things have happened.
Well, let's
But if
not
these
give
have
away
not
anything.
happened, Then we need to be a little more careful.
Let's not give away anything, viewers. That's not an operational word here. So thank you, gentlemen, in this first part. I want to just move on because there is something that bothers me, viewers. India might be planning for justice. But the trouble is that there is an ecosystem in this country that is playing into the hands of Pakistan, and we cannot win a war with one hand tied behind our backs, viewers, like this. You cannot win this war if your hand is tied behind your back. Now, Rahul Gandhi's closest loyalists, from Punjab Dalit leader Channi to his UP blue-eyed boy Ajay Rai, are passing snide comments against our military. Listen to Ajay Rai first. Just listen in, viewers.
तो आप बड़ी बड़ी बात करने वाली सरकार जो आज कहती है कि हम सब मिट्टी में मिला देंगे सब कुछ इन लोगों को, आतंकवादियों को, आज आप राफेल ले आए, नींबू मिर्च बांधकर खड़ी किए हुए हैं। आपको याद होगा, मैंने नहीं बांधा है, वो बांधा है, इस केंद्र की सरकार ने बांधा है, रक्षा मंत्री ने नींबू मिर्च बांधकर खड़ा किया हुआ है। ये किसी जो लाए हैं उसका उपयोग कब होगा? नहीं, ये शो करना चाहते हैं कि जो आप नींबू मिर्ची लगाकर खड़ा किए हुए हैं राफेल को, आज देश की जनता प्रभावशाली कार्रवाई चाहती है आतंकवादियों के खिलाफ। शर्म आनी चाहिए जो लोग आज ये सब बातें कर रहे हैं। प्रभावशाली कार्रवाई करिए, आतंकवाद और आतंकवादियों को पनाह देने वाले जो लोग हैं उनको खत्म करिए, उनको समाप्त करिए।
Viewers, words are cheap. This man will never put his life on the line. Let me tell you this. Some of his own children might actually be studying abroad. They will also not put their lives on the line. He wants us to rush in. And Rahul's aide doubles down. Ajay Rai yesterday, Ajay Rai today. You heard that, viewers. He mocks our forces yesterday. Rafales are only for Nimbu Mirch. Go use them. As if you're flying some Cessna plane to take one rich businessman from one part of the country to the other. Have they lost it, viewers? They've completely lost it. Imagine in Varanasi less than a year ago, this character won 4,60,000 votes. That means 4,60,457 people voted for this person, reducing the Prime Minister's victory margin to just about 1.52 lakhs viewers. That happened just about 10 months ago. Today, Rai is a poster boy for Pakistanis. He's all over the Pakistani media. In fact, Rai's comments are of such propaganda value to deflated Pakistan that the media there, and you can see that shot from that channel, chose to give him maximum airspace, saying that, oh, the Indians, you see, they lack resolve, they're so weak, that their own leaders in the opposition are goading them into doing something. He's not the only one, viewers. There are several other Indie Alliance leaders. Nothing happened in 2016, says Channi. Where is the evidence? Charanjit Channi. Basically, suggesting that our troops are liars, that they would lie to the civilians. Till date, we've been asking the House how Pulwama happened. If the Pulwama report came, Pahalgam wouldn't have happened. This is Manoj Jha, Member of Parliament, viewers. There's no idea about military operations, but he must have an opinion. In this country, we must all have opinions. Let's open this up. Has India, the alliance, viewers, crossed all limits in desperation to undercut Modi tonight? And I have to ask this question of Mr. Meka. Mr. Meka, what do you make of these statements? Should you apologize for these statements? Should Rahul Gandhi come out? Or is his studied silence? Does it suggest his consent for all of this rubbish?
No. See, Rahul, first point is Congress party has clearly told that we stand with the government. This is not the time to throw political barbs at each other. Let the government and take the decisions and let the army make its operations. Keep quiet. Wait. There is a time to ask questions.
No.
There is a time to...
I want Pradeep Bhandari to respond to you.
That's what we are doing.
No. Today you can't get away with this. Two-faced.
Why?
This double tongue talk.
Rahul.
Sorry, fork tongue talk. वहाँ कुछ बोलो, चैनल्स पे कुछ बोलो, अपने कंस्टिट्यूएंसी में कुछ बोलो, सेंटर में कुछ बोलो, स्टेट में कुछ बोलो. Yes, no,
Rahul, this is the typical strategy of Rahul Gandhi to play good cop, bad cop. Rahul Gandhi is the political producer, writer and script director of this. See, look at the pattern. Rahul Gandhi says in the all-party meeting that he will give support to the government. Within 24 hours, you have Sitaramaiah being quoted by the Pakistani media. If that was not enough, then you had Saifuddin Soz, you had Vijay Bhatikar blaming the victims and giving cover fire to Pakistan. Then you have Mr. Kharge and Rahul Gandhi again coming and doing a press conference that yes, we are with the government, well done, well done. What happens in 24 hours? You have Mr. Channi asking for proof and you have this joker Ajay Rai, a man here, I will say this because he's mocking our forces here, coming out openly, and none of these individuals have been suspended by the Congress party. And this is after Rahul, when KC Venugopal had to tweet to every Congress worker that please take your national duty seriously and do not tweet against the forces. Imagine a state of the Congress party where the Congress party general secretary organization has to say this to the workers, which means he admits that the DNA of the Congress party is not nationalist but it is anti-national. And despite that, you have Ajay Rai and Charanjit Singh Channi. If the Congress party is honest, why has it not issued a show cause notice to a single individual? Single individual. When 26/11 Mumbai terror attack happened, you know what was the clear line of the Bharatiya Janata Party? It was clear that we will support the government in taking a decisive action against terror. But what did the Congress party give this nation? 26/11 is RSS ki sajish and could not do a surgical strike. This is what the Congress party did to this nation. So the Congress today is the spokesperson of Pakistan. The strategy is different. It is good cop, bad cop, but it wants its evidences to be used by Pakistan in the international forum, just like Rahul Gandhi's statement was used in UNGA after abrogation of Article 370. Enough is enough.
Dr. Ranganathan, I have to ask you this. If the Congress jibes weren't anti-India, would Pakistan be giving them airtime? I don't think so.
Rahul, this is, first of all, I congratulate the Congress spokesperson on the panel for saying what needed to be said. I really applaud him, sir, for saying it, but with a caveat that I just wish and hope that you had said the same thing to this Mr. Rai, who I choose my words very carefully. His buffoonery has insulted and embarrassed the entire country. Because as Rahul says, Rahul Shivshankar says, that it's being used as propaganda by the enemy country.
They're calling it a false flag operation, Pahalgam, because of this chap.
So
And this is the
I just
time,
hope-
Dr. Ranganathan, when we are building a case. You know, it's going to the UNSC tonight. And what is Pakistan saying? This was a false flag operation. And we have these guys from the Congress party who are building a case for Pakistan. Can you
But
believe it?
why are they doing it? I don't understand. What could be the reason?
Because they think
I don't-
they're going to make up the deficit of 1.5 lakh votes and beat
Congress-
Modi and throw him out.
I will answer. No, I'll tell you, Rahul. It is serious. Look at the electoral history of this country. Whenever the country is in chaos, the Congress profits. Whenever the country has security and stability, the Congress party never profits and is always in opposition. This is the electoral history of the Indian
Let me ask,
history.
Sheikh
Ask the
Amir,
Congress party.
and I want General Bakshi to round this debate off. Speaking as a military man, watching these asinine civilian leaders giving Pakistan leverage. So I'll come to you, General Bakshi, 1 second. But I want to bring in Sheikh Amir. Sheikh Amir, a simple question to you tonight, Sheikh Amir. Do you condemn Ajay Rai and do you expect him to be sacked from the party? Yes or no?
I won't start with yes or no.
Why?
Let me.
No, why? Why don't you start with something that that makes a difference? At least
wait.
Meka
Let
started
me-
by saying,
let-
no, this is wrong. We
I will
support
tell
the
you-
government.
I will tell you what you people are doing.
What am I doing?
Let me talk. When I'm on the panel, when I'm on the debate, at least I should get time to say something. When Congress says or anybody says that we should go for war, and again we are criticized for that. And if somebody says that we should not go for war, we should make dialogue. Again, we are criticized that we are being emotional or something else. People like I just forgot the name who just said that these Congresses are anti-national. They are Pakistanis. The problem is ये घर की बात है. We are at war.
गद्दारों ने ही historically
आप सुनिए बात सुनिए आप जब बात कर रहे थे I was listening patiently. Don't be so intolerant.
Listen, Sheikh Amir,
घर
I
की-
just
you are
asked you a
giving
question.
ingredient-
आप
you are
मुझे
giving
history
ingredient to
geography दे रहे हैं. I'm asking you for a straight
क्या हुआ
answer. Do you think action should be taken? Should this Ajay Rai be kicked out of the party, suspended at the very least, issued a show cause
For what?
notice for God's
For
sake?
what? Just
For
because
what?
he chose a different way. He chose a different way by
Wow.
saying that he should go for
So you
war.
have an
Okay.
individual being quoted by Pakistan. He comes from the state of Jammu and
See the
Kashmir.
difference here.
Mehbooba Mufti today was backing an overground worker, a terrorist.
Luckily, the video
We
came
can
out.
never-
She said that he had been killed by security
talking about
forces.
Pakistan?
It
Now,
turned
Rahul-
out that
Rahul,
video
one
showed
question
that he had jumped
Don't
into a
give-
river to
don't
escape
give-
the
Rahul,
process.
don't give-
Escape the
Rahul,
forces
Rahul,
and he
Rahul,
drowned. Yes.
From your
Rahul-
channel, you are giving
Rahul, very
ingredients to
briefly.
Pakistan to
Rahul-
carry on their propaganda in India.
Listen, this guy is being
Especially
featured
in
on
Kashmir.
Pakistan TV, not courtesy me. Okay?
Rahul-
This is his own great achievement. Look at this. Look at this chap.
Rahul, can I please? There are if I can, just 10 seconds. There are telltale signs when, as a leader or as a professional, Indian professional, you need to be worried. This is one such sign. When Pakistan is using you as a propaganda, let me give you another example. Has it ever happened, Rahul, that Hafiz Saeed has praised your journalist instinct? Has it ever happened?
It has happened
Now,
with one
if-
journalist.
Before
Correct.
Pakistan makes
And
propaganda,
also praise
you
the
are
Congress
first one to
party.
do it.
Okay.
No, also praise the
General-
Congress party.
General Saab,
No,
General
also
Saab.
praise the
Let
Congress
military
party.
man- Let the military man have an opinion on this. General Saab, I'm sorry I'm dragging you into the gutter, because that's where we have landed courtesy this gentleman on the air. But I want to ask you, General Saab, what does this tell you? When you as an army man have fought for this nation, when thousands of others are preparing to fight for the nation on the front, when you have people like this doubting you, making snide comments about you, how does this play out from an army man's perspective?
You know, Rahul, I must make an earnest appeal. It is the job of the opposition to oppose. It's not doing its duty if it is not giving a tough time to the ruling dispensation.
Yes.
But there is a caveat to that larger, ethic. When there is a war, when you are facing China, Pakistan, you are facing external aggression. In every single democracy in the world, people sink their differences, man. They get together. They fight as one. They put aside their political differences, their personal idiosyncrasies, they fight as one. Imagine, had in 1971, Atal Bihari Vajpayee and the BJP gone like this, hammer and tongs at Indira Gandhi, when she waited 8 months for her orders to be implemented, right? I mean, what would have happened if we had gone in earlier? Let me tell you, let me clarify this to you. There are people who are rational, who are professionals. Leave it to them. You don't know a thing about war fighting. When Sam said, Madam, I don't want to go now, let me go in November, December, what did he mean? That was we were on to April. The monsoon starts in Bangladesh, mid-April, end April, May. Once the monsoon cloud covers up, the Air Force can't give you ground support. The ground turns into a bog.
Okay.
And with the rivers in Bangladesh would, expand into almost little estuaries, right? And then when he said, I want to go in November, December, what he meant was that the Himalayan passes will be blocked.
I understand. So
even if China wants to intervene, it cannot.
You made that
point. We will take on Pakistan at leisure.
Leave it to the military.
All this couldn't be said in the open.
But they are the ones who are going to
the military. Man, don't teach us how to
fight. Okay. Just leave it.
Praising Congress.
Okay, just leave it. No, 1 second. I leave it at this, viewers. I leave it at this. Look, I just hope that we pull back from this brink of politics. Politicking, actually, not even politics. Politicking. This is not the time. It's not the time. I leave it at this, viewers.
Presented by
Can it be attached to the whims and fancies of a mullah madrasa bred general of the Pak army? Who actually gains from drawing Bharat into a kinetic engagement and escalation at this time, in this region and also geopolitically? Is the real enemy operating from the shadows? Was Pahalgam plotted in Beijing? We ask. And viewers, we urge you to think about this and consider. And by resisting a knee-jerk kinetic reaction, सीधा जाके मिसाइल फोड़ देते. That knee-jerk reaction would have had repercussions, consequences, and perhaps you would have been drawn into something that would have hurt us in the long run. Has Bharat, by resisting a knee-jerk reaction, kinetic reaction, dodged a possible strategic ambush? Let's try and understand this in greater detail and perhaps more perspective. Tilak Devashaji, former member of the NSAB, author himself, who understands this region and geopolitics, has been a regular with us on the right stand. Thank you once again for being with us here on the show, Tilakji. Always a pleasure. Andrew K. Pilum, China strategist, and we'll understand the Beijing perspective and, of course, his own understanding of this region. But first, we'll go across to Srimoy Talukdar, senior editor, First Post, who's written a fantastic piece about this very possibility. So, Srimoy, what prompted you to write? And you have qualified by saying this is all circumstantial evidence. We have to consider this possibility. There is nothing actionable to say that Beijing perhaps was involved. But is it in Beijing's interest that Bharat gets engaged into a regional war or regional conflict?
Anand, thanks for having me here. In any financial crime, when investigators start their operations, they always look for this very small thing. It's called follow the money. Where is the money trail gone? So if you take that paradigm and apply it here, as in who benefits from an India-Pakistan kinetic action right now? If you follow this question and go to the logical end, then you will come up with the obvious answer. Because see, Pakistan, it is not in Pakistan's interest to launch a war against India. The country can hardly sustain itself. It's a banana republic. It's somehow carrying on its daily activities through doles from different financial institutions, and it is at the mercy of many other bigger powers. So for Pakistan, the primary focus should be its internal stability as well as development of its very poor people. Their per capita income is even lower than in India. So why would a country which has basically, and Pakistani generals, regardless of what they claim, they know that they can never take Kashmir away from India. So what is this big weak point about fighting wars with India every now and then. But if you look at this from another angle, that Pakistan is acting not as a sovereign country but as a mercenary state, and it is being used by another country which directly does not want to get involved and enjoys plausible deniability, it is then according to my understanding, that the pieces start making a lot more sense. Because if Pakistan and India go into a kinetic action, escalation dominance is very difficult, because Pakistan's conventional warfare is obviously India enjoys slight advantage over it. But many former army chiefs and people who follow this who have domain expertise in the angles, they have said that it is difficult for India to establish escalation dominance over Pakistan in any conventional warfare. So it will be a war of attrition. There will be escalation. One side will hit, the other side will absorb, then hit back, and will go on. So Pakistan is already a basket case, and there is no international investments there. It doesn't have the country doesn't have a future, but India has. And if India is somehow trapped into this cycle of escalation, then the country which benefits the most at this geopolitical inflection point is China, because the US-China rivalry has reached such a point, and because of the fact that an American president is in power who is not afraid to take radical steps, China is in a difficult spot of bother. And I had tackled this in an earlier piece where I made the point that she is in a very precarious position. If he hits back at US with all his might, then he risks weakening Chinese economy even further. Because Trump is not one to step back. But if he does not do anything, then also internally he faces a lot of signaling that he is weak. And a weak CCP leader, and if Xi Jinping somehow gives this impression that as a leader of chairman of this Chinese Communist Party he is weak, then the knives will come out of the shadows and he won't survive. It's that simple. So for Xi, this is a very difficult problem to solve. But what if the country which everybody is optimistic about, the country which everyone is talking about, the country which US is talking about reshoring and friendshoring and all that, what if that country is shown to be unstable, weak, fraught with a lot of dangers, bad for business, not good for global supply chains to shift because simply it's unstable? What if that happens? Then businesses will seek a second opinion. Then they'll think about it twice. So I think that could be one of the reasons which, and Pakistan is a low-cost option. It doesn't really, because they already have a terror infrastructure in place. You only have to give the instructions, and China has a lot of leverage over Pakistan. So while writing the piece, I was considering all these disparate dots, and I thought that the idea that came to my mind that if I see that which country benefits the most from an India-Pakistan.
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma.